Hello everybody, and this side Vanshika, and you are watching my channel Knowledge World. So today's video is based on figures of speech for class 8. So those who are in class 8 should watch this video to understand a grammar topic, that is figures of speech. So in this video I'll be explaining figures of speech and its types with the help of a PPT. So let's begin without getting late. So first of all, we should know that what is a figure of speech before starting this topic. A word or a phrase which is used by a writer in a poetic piece to make it more effective. They are also used to catch the reader's attention and interest. So basically from this, many of you have an idea of figure of speech. So the figure of speech is a word or a phrase which is generally used by writers in a poetic piece, in poems, and sometimes in stories also. If you have read in your reader books, in reader lessons, and in stories, if you have read such poems, so you must have noticed that the writers use poetic devices or figures of speech many a times. So these poetic devices or figures of speech are used to make your poetic piece effective and to increase the beauty of the language. Also, they are used to catch the reader's attention and interest. So let's proceed now. Now we are going to learn about types of figures of speech. So let's see: simile, hyperbole, oxymoron, alliteration, onomatopoeia, refrain, transferred epithet, metaphors. So about all these we'll have a look and we'll learn about all of them. So let's proceed now. Before learning about all these poetic devices, we will learn about the most common poetic device, and that is personification. Personification is a commonly used poetic device or figures of speech. So personification is the poetic device which is generally used by the poets in their poetic piece to provide a human trait to non-living things. So from the definition you can conclude that personification is used to personify a thing, and in personification we give a human trait to a non-living thing. Now let's see the examples of this. The first example is the wind was howling that night. Now most of you will be wondering that how wind can howl. So the same thing is done here also. Human trait is given to the non-living thing, that is wind. So that's why it is written that the wind was howling that night, and the meaning of the sentence is that the wind was blowing very fast at that night. The second one is the food is calling me. So how can food call someone? It is a human trait provided to the food. It means that the food is very tasty and I want to eat it and I am desperate to eat it. So the food is calling me. Human trait is provided here also. And similarly in the last example also, the cruel pebble is selfish. So the character traits of a human are given to a non-living thing, that is pebble. I hope that this is very much clear to you all. So let's proceed. Now we'll be learning about the first poetic device, that is simile. So let's read and then I'll be explaining. A simile is a form of figurative language in which a comparison is made between two things which have something in common using the words like or as. The simile is used to describe an item, situation, emotion, or action by comparing it to something else in order to make the sentence more creative and artistic. So from the above definition you can understand that it is a figure of speech and it is used to show comparison between two things, and you will notice the words like and as or and so also you can notice in the sentences of simile. The simile is used to describe an item, situation, emotion. It can describe anything like an item, situation, emotion, action, and it is mainly used for comparing two things. So you should remember this thing, that it is used for comparing two things, and you can notice three words in the sentences of simile, and those words are so, as, and like, because there are comparisons in these sentences. And it is a figure of speech also, so it compares two things, and in order to make the statement more creative and artistic. As I have told in the starting also, that figures of speech are used to increase the beauty of the language and to grab the reader's attention. The next one. When used as a literary device, a simile can give a more emotional and complex feel to a piece of writing and enables the author to better convey the description by using this type of figure of speech as a comparison. So, when we use this as a literary device, so it can give a complex feel, means it will grab the reader's attention if you will use it. So for description it is used. Now let's look at its examples. Here are the examples of similes. She sings like an angel. Now in this sentence the word like is used, and uh, the the person, the girl about whom we are talking in this sentence, her singing has been compared to that too of an angel. So the girl singing is mainly compared with the angel. So you can find a type of comparison in this sentence, and you can find the word like in this sentence. So this is an example of simile. Next sentence is, his skin was as cold as ice. Now, as you know that the character trait of ice is its coolness. So, the coolness of the ice is compared to the person's skin using the word as. So, this is also an example of simile. Similarly, the third example, these cookies taste like garbage. So, the person is mainly comparing the cookies taste with the garbage. So the person is trying to convey the message that the cookies are not tasty and they are like garbage. And similarly, the other sentences on your screen, you can have a look. Now moving on, what is an hyperbole? So in this slide we are going to learn about hyperbole. It is also a figure of speech. So hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration of a situation using humor. In this type of sentences, in hyperbole kind of sentences, mainly we are using extreme exaggeration. We are expressing these sentences by using such phrases which will uh, look that the situation is really like that. So in these type of sentences we are using such phrases which are expressing extreme exaggeration and humor also. In the pictures you can see crying a river, crying for a long time. It means crying for a long time. We also have a Hindi proverb on the same, and the picture is also showing the same, that the child is crying a river, and this means crying for a long time. So if you say he is crying for a long time, it does not look that much attractive. But if you say that he is crying a river, it really looks attractive and it can grab the reader's attention also. Similarly, in the next one, weights a ton, very heavy. If you say that the box is very heavy, then it does not look so much attractive. But if you say the box weighs a ton, it can grab the reader's attention. So you should also try to speak or express your views in such a way as they are expressed here. So hyperbole is the same thing. Here are some interesting examples of hyperbole. Let me read one by one and explain them. So the first one is the king's nose was 3 feet long. It is not possible for a person to have a nose that is 3 feet long. So same exaggeration humor is used here to express the idea, and similarly the picture is also showing the same idea. My dad can lift over 2 tons. How can a person lift 2 tons? So the same idea is used here also. The next example, that food was so hot my ears were smoking. In the picture also you can see the cartoon and his ears smoking. So in this way they have conveyed the message that the food is very hot. That boy runs faster than a car. It is not possible for a person to run faster than a car, but then also it is written here and it is grabbing the reader's attention. So it is a figure of speech hyperbole. I'm so tired I could sleep a year. It is not possible. And the other examples like I'm 20 feet tall this month. I must have walked 100 miles. He cried so long that he made a lake. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. You have a million toys at your house. So all these sentences are expressing exaggeration and in a humor they are conveyed. Now the next figure of speech is oxymoron. So let's read about oxymoron. Oxymoron is a type of figurative language which involves the use of two words which appear to contradict one another but when used together make a true and sometimes positive statement. It is a rhetorical device which can be used in order to reveal a paradox by using two self-contradicting terms. It is also used in a literary sense in order to add a more complex feel to the text and in order to cause the reader to think in a more profound way about the situation at hand. So, oxymoron is also a figure of speech and it is used in such a way that in it the first there are two words and one of both of them are contradictory, they are opposite, but when we use them together they make a sense, they make a true sense. It is a poetic device which can reveal a paradox, means opposite ideas, they are self contradicting terms, but when we are using together them together they are making a sense. So this is oxymoron and it increases the beauty of the language as well as it also attracts the reader. Now let's see its examples. It is a very interesting poetic device. Examples of oxymorons are big baby. So just think that if someone is a baby, then how he or she can be big, and if somebody is big, then how he or she can be a baby. So that's why both the terms are self-contradicting, they are opposite words, but when we are using them together they are making a sense. So from this, some of you may be wondering that big baby means someone who is big but still a baby. Open secret. Both the terms are self-contradicting. If something is a secret, then how it can be open? And if something is open, then how can it be a secret? So similarly, passive-aggressive, original copy, alone together, deafening silence, clearly confused and living dead. Similarly, here also on the another side, that seriously funny. If something is funny, how can it be serious? So both the terms are self-contradicting, both the terms are opposite, but it is making a true sense that it was very funny. Similarly, other examples also, quite scream, only choice, pretty ugly, growing smaller, and similarly open secret. Now comes another poetic device, alliteration. So let's read about it. Alliteration is the repetition of the same or similar kind of sounds at the beginning of words or in stressed syllables. So what is alliteration actually? It is nothing but it is the repetition of same kind of sound and actually consonant sound and when there is a repetition of vowel sound, then there is another poetic device which is assonance, if you have read about it. But in this we are only going to read about alliteration. So alliteration is a repetition of similar kind of consonant sounds and in the beginning of the words. Now let's see a very good example of this. The sizzling sun shone. Now SS sound is being repeated here. S is a consonant, as you all know. So the sizzling sun shone brightly in the beautiful blue. Now B sound is being repeated. Beautiful blue sky above the farm. The friendly farmer fed his four. Now F sound is being repeated. The friendly farmer fed his four. Now C sound will be repeated. Chirping chickens, corn. Now in this all the sounds which are being repeated are consonant sound and they are similar. Now another poetic device, onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia is a figure of speech in which words are used to imitate sounds. Mainly it is related to sounds. If you have looked to the examples, buzz. Buzz is the sound of honeybees if you have listened. Honk, zip, fizz, ding dong. Ding dong is the sound of bell if you have listened. So onomatopoeia is completely related with the sounds. And here is an interesting exercise based on onomatopoeia. If you are interested in doing this, then you can click a screenshot. Now let's move. Now comes refrain. So what is refrain? Let's read about it. A phrase, line or group of lines that is repeated throughout a poem, usually after every stanza. So if you have read any of the poem, then you must have noticed that there is a line which repeats after every stanza. So that is the main line of the poem, and that is a poetic device also, a figure of speech also, and that is refrain. So let's read here. Friends are special when they sing together. They can sing the whole day, they can sing the night away, they can sing together, they can sing. So this is a kind of poem, and if you will look, then in every stanza, friends are special, friends are special, friends are special, it is being repeated. So here it is the poetic device, refrain. Now comes transferred epithet. Now let's read about it. Transferred epithet are ordinary logical attributes generally describing the state of a human being, but made to refer to an inanimate object like sick chamber, sleepless pillow, restless space. So mainly what is being conveyed here, the transferred epithet is such a figure of speech that it is describing a human trait. It always describes a human trait, but with an inanimate object, means with a non-living thing. Okay, now let's see. And if you want to identify transferred epithet, you must remember one thing, that in this two words are there. So one word is a noun and the another word is surely an adjective. Now let's see. The first one is sick chamber. So what I have told you right now, that the one out of them, one word will be noun and the another word will be a adjective. So let's check. Sick chamber. Sick is an adjective and chamber is a noun. Similarly, sleepless pillow. Pillow is a noun and sleepless is an adjective. Similarly, in restless space, breathless eagerness, unbreakfasted morning, merry hours, a disapproving finger, Isabel's shrugged, an indifferent shoulder. So similarly in all the words. Now comes metaphors. So let's read about metaphors. Metaphor compares two unlike things without using like or as. Now in the starting, in the simile, you have studied that simile is a poetic device which compares two things with by using like or as. Now, metaphor is the opposite of simile. It compares two unlike things without using like or as. It does not use like or as. Now, let's see its examples. The sun was a gleaming pear. So, it is not like this that the sun was like a gleaming pearl. It is that the sun was a gleaming pearl. And similarly, my baby brother is a cute little teddy bear. My sister's memory is a camera that remembers everything we see. So, here in these sentences, the writer has compared the two things, but they are unlike and we are not using like or as here. Similarly, in the other sentences also, the car's seat is a fluffy cloud and custard is happiness in a bowl. Now here comes simile versus metaphor. Two of the most famous methods that work very well are similes and metaphors. They are the easiest poetic devices, but still there is some confusion between the readers in their minds regarding simile and metaphor. So, both of them are widely used by writers to create mental images for their readers and make their text more lively and interesting. Both are used to increase the beauty of the language. In fact, all the figures of speech are used for the same purpose. So, let's see the simile usage. When you use a simile, you say that something is like or as something else. When you are using simile, then you are using like or as, but when you are using metaphor, then the usage is like when you paint a picture by saying that something is something else, you can use a metaphor. In metaphor, you are saying that something is not like or as something, but something is something else. Means कोई चीज़ किसी के जैसी नहीं है, बट वो वही चीज़ उसे आप बना देते हो. जैसे कि custard is a bowl of happiness. It is not like a bowl of happiness. It is a bowl of happiness. So that is the major difference between simile and metaphor. Now here are some exercises. Test yourself. You can take up a screenshot and you can identify the figure of speech used in the following sentences. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned with me and keep watching Knowledge World. So this was all for today. Thanks for watching.